We are live.
Okay, let's begin.
We've got a,
An echo.
Sounds like yours.
I think I'm running out. Okay, we're good.
thank you.
Okay. Right, so we'll do the allegiance. Well, I'll start off.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have roll call.
Director Roberts,
Present?
Director McMillan, here. Director Avila is absent. Director Waters,
Here.
Director Quady.
Here, we do have a form. And so we will go on to the public comments. And we have a speaker card here, so we'll read
Yep.
that in, but yeah, so.
Oh, we do have
we have
public
in
online.
the online.
You do, so you'll need to give the spiel.
Okay. This portion of the agenda may be utilized by any member of the public to address the board of directors on any matter within the jurisdiction of the board that does not appear on the agenda and on matters that are on the agenda but are not designated as action items. Depending on the subject matter, the board of directors may be unable to respond at this time or until the specific topic is placed on the agenda at a future board meeting in accordance with the Ralph and Brown Act. Please limit remarks to 3 minutes. You have been.
Anyone on the Zoom would like to make public comment, please use the raise hand feature. I see no raises online.
Okay. And go on to item 3, presentation.
We do not have one this evening.
Okay, any items to be added to the agenda? Go.
Nothing to be added.
On to the consent calendar. The items to discuss here. I will just say that I was here on July 17th board meeting. But if the quorum of the board is approving of it, then trust their judgment that the minutes are correct. Is any other discussion, comments, or motion? The consent calendar.
I'll move approval of the consent calendar. I'll second.
Motion's been first and seconded. Roll call vote.
Director Roberts,
Yes.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Avila is absent. Director Waters,
Aye.
Director Quady.
Aye. Motion carries. On to the action items.
Can I propose, since Director Avila has been a little bit delayed and item 6A was of interest to him, that we skip over and return to 6A once he's able to make his way here, which we expect will be soon.
The monthly status report. And I'd like to questions here, so see if I can get there. We'll start with wrist. Any questions there? Question?
Very brief update that does not fully indicate the scope and efforts that are underway. Quite a bit of work. It's just very briefly rendered.
Okay, water policy and strategy. Here. Flag on treated water cost recovery. So, is there much new there?
That was the last meeting of the treated water cost recovery group. We have another meeting, I believe, 2 weeks later this month. So that is the latest information available on this issue. We're meeting monthly.
External affairs. The federal advocacy, but since the end of the fiscal year, September 30th has passed, is there something active?
And the fiscal year is September 30th,
September 30th.
and it is August 7th. That's fair.
Okay. Oh, the other thing was on state advocacy, Senate Bill 155 Durazo. Is that correct? 155? Is that the number for it?
I actually think a number's missing from that, now that you mention it.
To
1255. Sorry, we lost a digit there.
okay, I was just wondering. Partnerships. The trip to the in the alignment. Anybody else can chime in anytime.
You're doing great. Keep it up.
Water resource development. Groundwater resources. All to. Just a uni question, I guess, on 28. Brackish water seems to be, is that also the counter term for seawater?
So the water is brackish in that area because of seawater intrusion. But it's not, the difference between brackish and seawater is parts per million of salts, right? So it's not high enough. It's not 30 to 35,000, which is ocean level. I don't know what it is, but it's somewhere in that brackish.
It's certainly it's more salty than the source water that the Round Mountain desalter or the North Pleasant Valley desalter is treating, but not as salty as seawater.
So, very good, thank you. Water storage. Construction. Hopefully the restriping on Darrow Canyon occurs after the repaving of the entire roadway.
Well, we had to do some temp striping. The like full restriping will be after the overlay.
Design.
Are we paying for the whole overlay?
No, we made a financial contribution to it because the city was planning to do it anyways, but they held off on doing it to accommodate us. And they're doing more than they would have otherwise done. Sorry, Fernando, I keep answering your questions, but. I was manager of engineering when that all got sorted.
Design. Two, or do we have any new developments around diesel backup generators? Air quality issues there?
President, great question. We're coordinating with BC APCD, Air Pollution Control District, to get that permit resolved. We recently had a meeting in person with them to address their comments and concerns regarding the tier 4 that's been requested, and we are requesting an approval of a tier 2 standby generator. So we're hoping to resolve that in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, we'll have to circle back and make some changes and comply with the tier 4 requirement.
Thank you. Down the studies and planning. What's going on? I'd like to see that AWA Water Issues Committee presentation too.
Well,
I was out of town.
yeah, you're out of town. I mean, certainly Fernando can send you the PowerPoint if nothing else, but actually it was very similar to the one that was already given to the board. I don't know what differences there were.
I missed that one.
I don't think so. We did it a couple months ago.
Obviously,
Happy to send it to you. And if you need further explanation, let me or Fernando know.
grants and funding opportunities. US Bureau of Reclamation Title 16. What's more to that?
So the way that program works is you have to put together a project, although a project can be more of a program with a grouping of projects. So we submitted in the feasibility report SMP 3, a Santa Rosa desalter that Camarosa is considering in the Santa Rosa Valley, and a potential approach to the North Pleasant Valley desalter expansion. The US Bureau of Reclamation reviews the report to confirm that you've met all the requirements, and then you're eligible to request funding, and it's up to 30 million. And I believe it's a 25% grant amount, 75% match. So that feasibility report went in June. The USBR's review is due in early September. The deadline for applying for funds is September 30th. So we're actually, right now, it's not reflected in the monthly status report because it's been a fairly recent development, working with Rincon on a grant application for SMP3, because we expect to bring to the board the design for SMP3 in the relatively near future, because LV has submitted their connection request. So that's moving. So we're going to try to get the project moving and get some money for it. Not all 30 million for that. It doesn't even cost that. But
Miscellaneous engineering activities. It doesn't support the clean fleet stuff.
well, they just chose to support others' funding applications and not Metropolitan's. I'm sure there were others that weren't selected as well. My understanding is it was a very competitive round of funding.
Okay, operations and maintenance. AT&T sounds tough. Tough to work with things.
Wes definitely has opinions on that.
Human resources and risk management. Risk management. Just Cohen's presentation last time.
Oh, the fire one?
Workplace files.
Oh, the workplace violence one, that too.
Okay, on the finance. Anybody? The audit. Information technology. That's really great how we extend out to everybody else and then gets free stuff as well. Cybersecurity.
Well, good job. I was asking questions.
Yeah. Hardware and software. Okay. All I have for the status report. On to the change order summary report. Fernando.
Good evening, Board of Directors. The second quarter change order summary was then included in the packet, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I just had a comment about the two that had change orders. Those are good catches. Any other questions? No? Oh, you're on.
Well, thank you.
Council report?
Nothing in particular to report tonight. Quarterly legal summary will be coming your way soon.
And I was going to address this at the point of adjournment, but since we have time now, we are planning to have a closed session next meeting on the adjudication. That's why it shows the next meeting is starting at 3 p.m. Does that work for everyone who needs to be there? Generally, 3 has been okay. Okay, good deal. And that is what we shall do. Excellent timing.
That's on Thursday.
It's on Thursday. Yes, that's another good reminder that meeting is on Thursday, August 22nd, because of the Aqua Region 8 event on the 21st. That I'm on the panel.
So we will go back to item 6. Mutation.
Yeah, so if I could just provide a little bit of history and background on this item. As the board knows, you adopted a sponsorship policy this spring that provided greater clarity about the types of sponsorships that Calleguas provides, as well as its process for requesting those sponsorships, and required a certain level of financial transparency for organizations that receive more than $5,000 a year in sponsorships.
Tip 2 as well.
Not memberships, just sponsorships.
Sure.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. I got confused last time. All right, thank you.
Understood. The deadline for complying with that is to have the material submitted by the end of September for approval by December 1st. However, per Director Avila's request, we convened the sponsorship committee early to discuss the Association of Water Agencies of Ventura County's 2024 elected officials and members reception, more colloquially known as the Reagan Library event, because it's easier to say. So this kind of also covers the sponsorship committee meeting report. I know most of you were present for that, whether you were in a speaking role or non, but Dan put together some of the financial information in a nice little summary that was in the packet. He's going to, in a minute, get up and kind of walk through that a little more. The one update I wanted to provide since the committee meeting was held is that AWA has made their initial submittal of information, which Dan has done an initial review, and he's requested some more information. There'll be some additional discussion. And once we have a complete package, we will share that with the sponsorship committee. Make sure there's nothing else you want before we go ahead and schedule a sponsorship committee meeting. So that's the path forward. So the purpose of today's discussion is kind of independent of what's in the policy, because this event occurs earlier than the compliance deadline. So Dan, you want to talk a little bit about the cost summary, and then we'll go from there.
All right, so you should recognize this little sheet that I've put up on the screen from the committee, because this is the exact same one. Before the committee, I went out and found the Form 990s for AWA. And really the committee only needs 3 years, but since I was doing it, I put a 5-year history together to kind of get some more information. And as you can tell, the AWA's been leading some cash in the last 5 years. So they have not been able to cover all of their costs. I did break down this into the program revenues as well as the other revenues, which primarily is, of course, the membership fees. And I also broke it down when we get to the program expenses, because I wanted to point out to you that overall the program expenses are less than the revenues for the program. So the programs themselves are making additional revenues for AWA, including the Reagan Library event. We also broke down off the 990 forms, the salary, the accounting and other expenses. I'll point out again that the last year in 2023, you're not going to see any other expenses. Here's that in that year, they started allocating all the other expenses into the program costs. So it's a different way of reporting it to the IRS, who is always changing the rules on everybody. So this is probably just another one of those changes. I'm not totally familiar with it, but I'm assuming that's the way it is. And then I also broke down kind of the salary, which is just the one person, which is Kelly. That's broken down on the 990 form. And the other big expense, their accounting total, which we learned is partly also their temporary employee, which is a contract person. So it's showing up on the accounting line item. But overall, you can see that also I broke down all of the contributions we've given to AWA. It's not just on the sponsorships. I also included in there the revenue from the memberships, which includes the AWA membership as well as the CCWC membership. So there's two membership costs included there. You'll also notice that in 2023, that line item is still blank, where we did not contribute to the Reagan Library event last year on a timely manner. We have now received that invoice and we have paid it, and we're going to accrue it back to the previous fiscal year. But that number will be filled in with the $5,000. So we have been historically contributing $5,000 to the Reagan Library event for the last 5 years. And that's what we're here to discuss tonight, is what we're going to be doing going for 2020 in fiscal year 2024-25. That's the breakdown that I have. Some additional questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we will open it to the speakers here first. And let's start with Kelly.
Good afternoon, President Quady, members of the board and district staff. My name is Kelly Pistone. I'm the Managing Director of the Association of Water Agencies of Ventura County. And I'm here today to address the board on item 6A, which is the, as you've just mentioned, the sponsorship of the 29th annual AWA member and policy maker reception at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. I'd like to begin by thanking Calleguas for their very instrumental part of forming the very first Reagan Library event, which we call that for short instead of the very long name, which was actually 29 years ago, and for their contributions and participation every year since. I also want to thank Raul Avila for his dedication and work on the event planning committee this year, and I believe 2 or 3 years prior to that. He's always devoted that time to help plan. There's a lot of planning that goes on to put this event on. And this year he serves on that committee with Metropolitan Water District, Las Virgenes Municipal Water District, and AWA president, and myself as staff. So I just wanted to begin there and thank you for your consideration today of sponsoring this event. I've provided you a fact sheet. Also, I put a cover page that goes over 7 of the top reasons why the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library is the selected venue. That is by design. And there are reasons within that. I won't go through all of them unless you would like me to go through any of them. I'd like to bring your attention, though, to number 5, the cost effectiveness of this venue. It does have a higher rental fee than some others, but it factors in all the included amenities that we need to put on this caliber of event. Excuse me. The potential sponsorship revenue is also attributed partly to the venue. There are no costs that we have to put on in other venues as far as decorations and bringing in rentals and so forth, because they provide all of that. It's a prestigious venue. It attracts high-profile speakers, which provide essential water briefings. And to date, AWA has not paid an honorarium to any of its 29 keynote speakers. The same as attracting attendees and our elected officials and leaders in our county. I want to also bring your attention to the fact sheet that this event does not come out, the expenses, the funding does not come out of AWA's operating funds. I think Dan already let you know that the expenses are 100% covered by sponsorships. And in the event of the history of the event.
That's the timer.
Oh, I didn't know I had.
Time we've used it, so I didn't know it ended with that much of a curse.
Everything's a first. Everything's a first for AWA, the first sponsorship committee agenda item, the first timer. I will summarize just by saying the event has never gone in the red, and that we have a lot of sponsors, which I've listed there, including all of the major water districts, for this event at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, including California American Water District, Calleguas Municipal Water District, Casitas, Las Virgenes Metropolitan, and it goes on. I'll close by quoting our keynote speaker, who will be there on September 19th, Professor Jay Lund. And he says, almost any subject can be seen through how we work with water. No single person or academic field solves these water problems alone. It takes many people and a variety of perspectives and expertise working together. And that actually sums up the purpose and the benefit of the AWA member and policymaker reception at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. Thank you for your consideration, and I'll answer any questions if you'd like.
Okay, next we have Wanda.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to address most of you again. Thank you for your patience. I'm here as an AWA board member alternate for the city of Simi Valley. I'm also on the co-chair of the Water Issues Committee and Symposium Committee Planning Member. And this year I was one of the 3 guest speakers on the panel. I am also here to represent the city Simi Valley Waterworks District as the largest customer of Calleguas based on volumetric sales. And so I wanted to reiterate what Kelly said, that for nearly 30 years, there's been a valued county-wide membership and sponsorship. And I'll go into more of that. I did want to thank Director Avia for his term as past president, and that his leadership in the AWA VC clearly demonstrates support for the AWA, as well as Joe Deacon, former Waterworks District Engineer for the city of Simi Valley. And through their combined roles as president of the organization, they actually expanded membership. Metropolitan Water District is now a member, with the general manager having personally participated in this organization, as well as Las Virgenes Municipal Water District as a rather new member, and Amgen, the county's largest private employer. So our organization is reaching out beyond, historical bounds, which is important and essential for the mission of AWA and the water agencies in terms of reliability and resiliency. And I know that Calleguas recognizes that. I know the board has expanded a lot in terms of staff and the focus on engaging our elected leaders here locally, regionally, and at the state level as well. And so I believe that Calleguas recognizes how important it is to have an event such as the Reagan Library, where we have a chance to engage on these important issues, where we don't normally have elected officials at all of our staff level meetings. And so with that, I wanted to request continued membership, not membership, but sponsorship in the elected officials event, and to thank you for that consideration. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda. Do we have any online public?
If any members of the public online would like to comment on this agenda item, please use the raise hand feature. There are no raised hands.
Okay, I'll open it up to the discussion.
Oh, I thank you for providing the fact sheet. I really appreciate that you have the surveys, how popular this is, that weighs very heavily for me. So, and that was one of the questions I had, is the value that we get out of it. So I appreciate that very much. And are most of the sponsors sponsoring again for this year? Once you have listed this year?
Yes, they've been reoccurring sponsors for many years, and we're still in that process. So, but I believe So, yes.
And you got a hold of Metropolitan?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
You bet.
Spoke with Nicole twice. She's
Okay, good.
processing it.
Good.
So as as chair of the sponsorship committee and having asked to bring this to the board rather than make a decision at the committee level. I think it's important for the whole board to have hear this out and have a say on the decision as well. It is an important event. The issues I've raised in the past, and I've brought them up at the committee level at AWA as well. But also, dividing those board seats, wearing my Calleguas hat, wearing my AWA hat, I'm wearing my Calleguas hat right now. And I've brought this up at that board. It's a very expensive event. And yes, it might pay for itself, but all in all, when you look at the big picture, the organization goes into the red every year, right? So with that being said, and having just increased the rates on the public such a great deal, even though I do support this sort of event, it's what optics does the public see when we're sponsoring an event that, yes, it serves a great purpose, but also that prestige comes off as lavish. And sponsoring a lavish event with everything that's going on and having just increased the rates such a substantial amount might be a bad look. But with that being said, I do like the mission of AWA. I like what it does. This event can be had in other places. And I'd love to see a cost analysis. I know it says it's cost effective here, but I don't know if we've gone out to look for other prices and seeing what the difference would be. Again, wearing my Calleguas hat, that's not my role there. But the optics of what the public sees when we're, hosting so many electeds under Air Force One and having this great meal, and it's really on the ratepayer's dollar. That's my concern, but I do support the event. That's about all I got to say.
I did have a question with regards to how cost effectiveness was determined, and if there was alternative sites that were evaluated for cost and then compared to the Reagan event or the Reagan Library, in consideration of their amenities and if they were comparable and what that cost difference might be.
Director Robert, that would be definitely something that the AWA Board of Directors would have to review.
Okay.
To date, that has not been requested by the board, and the board has not undertaken that type of exercise.
Okay.
That could be done for future years.
I'm just, because some of the amenities are, parking and those and security and those kind of things and AV equipment, and some venues have that as well. The Reagan Library is a wonderful, wonderful location, and the historical values incredible. So don't get me wrong. It's just, determining cost effectiveness, generally you have to compare and contrast against others. So I was just seeing if that was done with other locations.
Just for clarification as well, there is not a lavish meal. It's a 2-hour event. There are some hors d'oeuvres. They're hand-held hors d'oeuvres. There's no sit-down meal, and just for clarification. And it's 2 hours and it's in length of time.
Thank you.
That's a good position, but having been there, it can be described as such. So thank you, Kelly.
I think for the sponsorship that we spend, we get tremendous value out of it. We've had sit downs with elected officials prior in this office prior to the event, and it's been extremely beneficial for Calleguas.
I agree. It's the amount of content and interaction that's packed into those 2 hours is impressive.
would we get that without having it at the Reagan event?
That's up to the AWA. That's not my purview.
That's great. And that's a great segue because basically there's one thing that what the AWA board decides and then there's what Calleguas decides to do. And
Yeah.
we shouldn't be calling the ball on the AWA board is deciding. But I've been here a while, so I've seen this event for over many years. I think it's one of a kind in terms of what all programs AWA does to draw out the highest local public officials we have. I think it's a lot different than the symposium. And if we're talking about getting connectivity amongst those officials and contractors as well, because those guys come in and there's a lot of great dialogue there. So I see it as an important event. I'm glad to see on the fact sheet that talks about a no-host bar. So that was my worry and concern about the lavishness of it. I think it remains to be a significant regional event. And so I think it's appropriate.
I'm glad to see you've got Lund as a speaker. He is excellent. But I am concerned about the health of the organization. I hope that the board will focus a little more on what they're going to be able to do to stop going into the red, because we don't want you to cease to exist. You're very important to this community and you're very unique. There's no other place in Southern California that has a region-wide water group like this. So I'm willing to support it for this year, but just the caveat, I hope that you'll go back to the board and say, we are expressing a concern about the health of the organization. And I'd like to know what they're going to do to try to turn it around, or if they're on track for turning it around, because they've gone into the red even more so this last year. So that's just the message I want to send.
To me, it's interesting that this decision precedes the certification of it by the sponsor.
It's just the timing.
Yeah, well, so that's basically what we're talking about now.
I don't want to say, don't take me wrong. I support AWA. I do support the mission that they're doing. And I will support this sponsorship as well. And I will go back to the board I have before, and I've asked the board at AWA to look at income and figure out how we stop from going into the red. And I think they are going to be doing that very soon. But that's about it.
I think there was also some discussion about increasing the dues that they haven't increased in a long time. And so I know they're looking at different solutions to that.
We'll see where that goes.
That's the AWA board. So
In the future, when evaluating this again, I'm a numbers and analysis person. So the cost breakdown of that event, you know, what proportion of the sponsorship is the Reagan Library, and what is other costs that would persist at other locations? You know, it may not be quite as much of a cost saving as we think. So just in the future.
And it could be a bargaining chip. You know, if we tell them they're moving to another location, you know, they might be responsible to dropping their price. Never know.
I think there was I didn't ask that, but I think that was brought up at the committee, and I think they do give a bargain already.
to me, it's understanding correctly, the sponsorships cover everything that happens at the Reagan Library, right?
Yes.
So I'm not sure what because the Reagan Library itself may be an attraction. Sure, people.
Yeah, and I actually, that's the other thing that came to mind was, would changing venues reduce sponsorship costs or not? Because if it doesn't, then I don't know if that, from a Calleguas perspective, really goes into, yes, the expressing concern for AWA being in the red is one thing, but when speaking about the sponsorship, if it doesn't affect the sponsorship rate, then it's kind of a moot decision on this end.
Yeah, I mean, not a big decision there on our part, right? We're not choosing the venue. We're choosing whether to sponsor it or not. And, thinking about it on the other hand is if they were to move at locations, we'd probably sponsor the same amount. Right, but things to go with that would be whether there would be a surplus of funds coming in from the event that could help support the organization to go further and not be in the red. But with that being said, I'll make the motion to support the sponsorship.
And I will second since I'm on the committee.
Okay, I heard the first and second. We'll call vote.
Director Robert,
Yes.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Avila,
Aye.
Director Waters,
Aye.
Director Quady.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your time. Move on to the sponsorship committee meeting.
Is there anything else that needs to be said on that point?
Enough said.
Regarding our policy, you said that there's actual dates that they have to have.
There's specific dates for,
Is that written in the policy? Because I didn't see that.
you know what, it was in the original version of the policy. We took it out when we folded it into the admin code
Okay.
because that was kind of a one-timer. But I believe the deadline was to have the material submitted by September 30th and that they needed to be approved by December 1st.
Yes.
Dan is nodding.
And it's only every 3 years they have to be certified.
Correct.
Okay.
Very good. On this.
I think we've said enough. That's what.
Okay, that's what you said. Okay. Move to the ancillary duties. For the Region 8 Director. The only note I have there is the Blackford Region 8 event on August 21. Currently has 82 people attending. On last check. And that is the Brookside Golf Club. Pat Mulroy. And then Penn includes our GM. And then on to the Aqua JPIA. I went to to Roseville on June 20th. For workers' comp. And I think Tori gets the reports quicker than I do. But anyway, the workers' compensation, the most likely claimant file, and I do this only because of the board of directors, not so much the staff, but I think your staff already has all this. But the claimant profile is usually somebody who's 36 to 45 years old. In water operations, 0 to 5 years employment. And torso is the most injured body part, but later years we've seen that head and leg that results from straining or sprains. Second item we discussed, we actually discussed several items and just give you a reduction. The excess insurance renewal that's covered by Safety National. Because of our claimant experience under JPIA, we have some pretty favorable terms in terms of how much that 2 million retention costs us. And I think that goes into the tower, which consists of several other companies that contribute to the different coverages, statutory limits. And then to finally decide on the premium rates for workers' comp. The evaluations, we had 4 options having to do with what kind of price change, the amount of refunds that we're looking at, and the reduced loss rate change from the JPIA third-party actuary. And so we voted on, and also the executive board followed up on approval of a 5% decrease And that involves $5.9 million in refunds. So that's all I'll have for the workers' comp. Association of Water Agencies of Ventura County.
Since the last board meeting, we've had what is it? AWA Waterwise on July 18th. AVEC did a presentation with Metropolitan Water District on the AVEC recharge basin. That could be a great place to store some water. Phase 1 is complete. The first phase of the project resulted in the construction of stage 1 recharge basins, which are approximately 40% of the total recharge area. 10 recovery wells, 5 monitoring wells, and turn-in, turn-out facilities from the California Aqueduct. Phase 2 is underway. Stage 2 recharge basins, and over the next couple of years, we'll construct 17 additional recovery wells for a total of 27, as well as a arsenic treatment facility.
And I will add that that's one of the key projects we're looking at for the state water dependent areas over here on the west side, is they're looking in the future of putting a pipeline, because AVAC is very, very close to the state water project, but it doesn't connect to it right now. And that is one thing that they definitely have on the books. It's not in the CIP yet. And that's one of the things that in this Camp for Water workshop that we're looking at is this project and others as well. So it's good to have that update for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did go a couple years ago with asked the director, Steve Blois, out to AVEC, and it was a very impressive operation to have going on out there. And for AWA, that's it.
Fox Canyon.
I have not attended a Fox Canyon GMA meeting since the last one.
Okay. Mr. Paulman.
Yes, on July 22nd to the 24th, I attended various committees at MWD, including the audit subcommittee for the executive committee, and the Camp for Water workshop. I also attended a tour at Joseph Jensen for Senator Minhavar. And I was glad I was there because I looked at her district, and part of her district is west of the 405. And they kept talking more about the city of San Fernando and Sylmar. And I said, no, she's got a territory west of the 405, and that is 100% dependent on the state water project. And I explained to her what happened during the latest drought and how we had zero allocation. And she went, oh. And so it caught her attention, and we updated her on what we're doing to try to alleviate that, as well as for Calleguas and Las Virgenes. And so it was good to be there. Also, I chaired the ad hoc committee on Bay Delta via Zoom, and the committee will be going back up in mid-November. That's already been scheduled. And then I attended an MWD special board training on MWD's financials. And it was very interesting. It was meant to be for new directors. And I was surprised how some of the old guard was there, and they found it fascinating because we actually got to grill in on some things that we normally don't bring up at a larger board meeting or committee meeting. So everyone thought it was fantastic that attended. So I don't know if we need to do something like that in the future, but it was just interesting. That's it.
Very good. Thank you. LAFCO, Commissioner?
No LAFCO since the last one. The only thing to note is that the committee for the public seat is taking applications currently, and I am on that committee. Probably be meeting on that topic here in the next month to go over resumes.
Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance, next meeting is scheduled for August 15th. That's all I have. Ventura County Special District Association.
VCSDA meeting last night. There was a presentation by Kara Ralston at the Camarillo Healthcare District about their adult senior care they provide to the community, which is fully funded project that is, it picks up and drops off people where they need to go, and they do VR activities and indoor gardening and really, really neat project. VCSDA Elaine is leaving VCSDA to join CSDA Elaine. And so they're going to be the Power Elaines at CSDA.
Elaine squared.
Yeah,
Squared.
And And they are soliciting for a new VCSDA president aggressively. And dinner was tri-tip rice and salad.
I was waiting on that.
And I was not able to attend and believe you gave them a quick update of my LAFCO.
No,
Kai was there.
Kai
Okay,
did.
good.
And he filled in a few other LAFCO, not updates, but updates.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Okay. Let's do some of the others. Director Robert, you might as well lead off.
Sure. On the other meetings, is that what you said? Reimbursable, sorry. Sure, since the last board meeting, I went on the DCA Delta tour with Director McMillan on the 18th and 19th, which was a very informative tour. And you think that these tours will cover some of the same things, but you almost always have new information that is, you think you've seen it all and then you keep getting more. So it was really an interesting tour. And then the sponsorship committee on the 28th and Metropolitan Water District Audit Subcommittee on the 23rd and long-term regional planning on the 24th.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Since the last board meeting, on the 15th, I did the Calleguas mandatory training, the storing passwords training. On the 24th, I chaired the Legislative Affairs committee meeting for through the Chamber of Commerce. Great discussions with other electeds. And it was good. You know, as chair, I get some more time to speak about water topics. So it's a positive see. The next one was on the 30th was it was a sponsorship committee. On the 31st was the very long anti-harassment training mandatory from Calleguas. Thank you, Walt, for making us do that.
It's my fault. Okay.
I'm not gonna state legislature about that. That is not.
Pushes it, but I'm gonna say it's Walt's fault. Either way.
It's the messenger.
It's the messenger.
Kill the messenger.
And that's it.
All right. Tonight's meeting. Right?
Tonight's meeting. I think I'm here.
Director McMillan.
Almost.
I also attended the DCP project tour of the Bethany alignment on July 18th and 19th, the 25th. MWD's purveyor managers meeting, July 30th, our sponsorship committee. August the 2nd, I attended CSDA's legislative committee meeting. August 6th, CSDA's live webinar on lease purchase agreements. Tonight's board meeting, and I know I took the anti-harassment thing and I don't see it on my calendar. So I'll have to go back and check, but I definitely took it.
Catherine.
It's out there for the 2 hours, click.
I'll make sure to set some time apart for that.
It has to take, it's one of those things where you have to take 2 hours doing it. So there's no express
You
version.
can't fast forward. It takes 2 hours.
Director Waters.
Tonight's board meeting.
Good luck on the harassment training. Next month you'll have 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go back to June 26th. I had meet the GM, and on 7:30, I had I was the fly on the wall in the sponsorship committee. And on 31st, I met with the GM again in tonight's board meeting. Good. So any upcoming meetings that people want to? It's not on the list. Okay, then I guess what we want to do, going on to request for future agenda items, is that list of approved activities?
Yes. So in terms of upcoming agenda items, as I mentioned, we plan to do a closed session on the adjudication starting at 3 on the next board meeting date, which is the 22nd, not the usual 21st. And then I did distribute to the board a proposal for better codifying and documenting what constitutes an approved meeting for the purposes of the exercise you just did. So if you have anything, any input on that, if you think I'm missing anything, please let me know so that we can have a complete list in the board packet that goes out next week,
And that feedback is due when?
Monday.
So information items include written communication from the firefighting.
Yeah, that's the press release that we were talking about last time that has resulted in the item being picked up by Aqua for member submitted news, as well as special districts has asked to include it in an upcoming issue of their magazine.
Surprised to see that there was an aqua profile. Yeah, and but it wasn't us.
No, it wasn't. It was just coincidental. Theirs was a little more focused on like the helipods and other variants of that, which we're also in progress on. So I think just it, considering how this fire season has started, firefighting is on everyone's minds.
One of the things that I like to hear about is the access that the firefighters have to Lake Bard. I know there were some ideas in the past where they wanted to put solar panels on lakes. So
Oh, interesting.
That's another reason not to.
that's another reason.
I know you have other concerns about that approach, but that is one more reason not to. In case we needed it.
I think I remember recalling that we were told that they usually only make one trip. Don't they?
Oh, is
Up
that
the
right?
lake, they usually don't come back for seconds.
Only if they change water sources.
Okay.
So
Oh,
if
that's
they come
right.
here, if they come here to take water from here, or to take water from here the whole entire time, if they change sources, then they're not to come
Right,
back.
so there's no cross contamination. Thank you for that reminder.
Thank you, yeah, thank you.
Yes, Wes gets a front row seat from his house.
We did talk a little bit about the 1255.
Yes, this is the correct bill number. The one in the monthly status report was one digit short.
Okay, well, let's move on to the closure of open session to go to closed session.
Well, and again, I just want to congratulate Charlotte on her activity. I mean, 12 letters. She's really staying on top of stuff.
Yeah, she couldn't be here tonight, but we'll make sure to pass that
I'm
on.
exhausted, from all that.
She doesn't seem to get exhausted. I don't know.
I know, I know.
Open
talking points, and I just read.
To open the open session. Here we are, folks. So I think we're going to end the board met in closed session to discuss the performance of our general manager over the past roughly 6 months.
President Brady,
Yes.
as you go along, that has to be modified a little bit, or. Oh, you should be fine. Go ahead. No. For the lies and trust.
Trust now.
Looks fine to me. Listen. We judge your performance is exceeding our expectations. Invite the members of the board now to make whatever comments they desire on the subject. We'll entertain a motion at the end of this discussion. Comments?
We'll go ahead and just say thank you for stepping up to the plate when, you know, we had a very quick transition and you've done a great job so far. And keep up with the luck.
Thank you.
I agree with his comments and great job. You've come a long way and thank you.
Probably not very many people could be in your position this quickly and up to speed and kept everything together. Kept all the nuts and bolts in there and we greatly appreciate it. And hopefully you're here in another year, 6 months and
15, 20 years.
I think we're pushing our luck though.
It was unanimous. We're all very pleased with you. We think you're a very special GM for us. We did just hire you, and that was one of the struggles we were contending with. Is it time for an increase right now? And I think we want to wait until August of next year. But however, we do want to award you with a bonus, you know, because you have performed and done really well for us. And I'd like to recommend an $8,000 bonus this time.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I can say something.
Yeah, would you like to?
No, I'm clearly a big fan of yours. I think you're a very special GM, and I've seen a few here. And I think I couldn't have expected better, broad, comprehensive address of so many of the issues and things that you've taken on in such a short time. So I just want to commend your performance. I think it's wonderful and how good you are at what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I appreciate that. It's an honor and a pleasure. And I have the most amazing team anyone could ever ask for.
Do we have a second?
I would like to second Director McMillan's.
Okay, roll call vote.
Director Robert,
Resounding yes.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Vila,
Aye.
Director Waters,
I
Director Spade.
Carries.
And congratulations.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sarah, I hope you start feeling better.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't have any more roll call votes.
Okay, and with that, we are done. Thank you all.
That hurts.
No, all right.
Struggle, the voice.